On the day of my 8th wedding anniversary with Zhao Zhuan, I finished the work at hand early and left the workstation on time. Last year, on the day of our wedding anniversary, my mother-in-law was sick, and Zhao Zhuan and I went hither and thither to work for several days, so that we missed the celebration. For this reason this year, I plan to have a good anniversary at. Going home and stopping the car, I went to the food market and bought fish and vegetables, and when I got almost done, I took out my cell phone and sent a message to Zhao Zhuan. Hubby, happy 8th wedding anniversary. Get off work early today, oh, there's a surprise at home. After sending out a text message, I went home and set it up tightly. A wooden table was covered with a white silk cloth. The table was sprinkled with flower petals, and 2 European candlesticks were set up, making it particularly romantic. This side of the scene set up, the kitchen fried fish steak is also done. More than an hour, 3 or 4 dishes on the table, and then extinguish the lights and light the candles. The cozy atmosphere immediately came out. But I waited and didn't see Zhao Zhuan come back. Just said to call and ask him. A message came over. It was Zhao Zhuan. Wife, sorry, I just saw the message you sent. There are still some things to deal with on the company side. Wait for me for half an hour, I'll be home. After the text, there was also a hug emoticon attached. Zhao Zhuan is a small leader of a listed company, busy at work on weekdays, today in addition to our wedding anniversary, but also not the year and not the festival, for which he worked overtime. I also understand. Just half an hour has passed, but there is still no Zhao Zhuan's figure. The dishes on the table are cold and hot, hot and cold. I waited from 8 o'clock until Zhao Zhuan 11 o'clock. He did not come back, and his microblogging steps in this period also from 2,000 steps into 8,000 steps. I have doubts in my mind. Zhao Zhuan home from work or driving, this 6,000 more steps and how to come out. And on weekdays, even if he worked overtime, he never came back so late. I was thinking of going to Zhao Zhuan's company to see him when a sound of locks twisting suddenly came from outside the door. Zhao Zhuan entered in his suit, and when he saw me standing in the doorway, he was obviously stunned. Ji Qing, you haven't rested yet. As he spoke, he took off his suit jacket and casually just threw it on the sofa. I'm not waiting for you to come back for dinner. It's our 8th wedding anniversary today. As I spoke, I took the meal on the table to the microwave to heat it up again. Zhao Zhuan, oh, a sound. The phone hurriedly to the bedroom to charge on the electricity, which came out again from behind to hold me and said, recently, this project has been me to follow up. Just today there is a small problem, the night to solve some of the night. I'm sorry, Jiqing. I go to the bath a moment after dinner. I'll treat you well. Zhao Zhuan whispered in my ear. Warm breath blew on my ear. My face was slightly hot, hurriedly twisted to escape from his arms, reached out and gently pushed him a hand. You really hate, hurry up and go. Looking at Zhao Zhuan's back, I hurriedly rubbed my blushing face and warmed up all the dishes on the table before picking up the suit that Zhao Zhuan had placed on the sofa, ready to wrap it up and send it to the dry cleaner tomorrow. But just as I picked up the suit, an unfamiliar perfume odor suddenly reached my nostrils. I hugged the suit and sniffed hard, a faint jasmine scent. I frowned and hurriedly took the suit to my bedroom to compare it with my perfumes, but none of them were similar. This jasmine flavor is clearly a female fragrance. Zhao Zhuan usually never spray perfume. Where does this body's fragrance come from? My heart suddenly more all kinds of suspicion. At this time, Zhao Zhuan put on the bed charging cell phone. Suddenly, ding-dong, rang a sound. On weekdays, Zhao Zhuan and I do not interfere with each other. To each other is also very trusting. No one has not seen anyone's cell phone, but today I have picked up his cell phone by magic. The cell phone password is my birthday. I easily unlocked. The person who sent him the message was the person with the name Assistant Joe in the memo. Zhuan, are you home yet? I left my Bluetooth headset in your car. Remember to bring it up for me at work tomorrow. There is also a naughty expression at the end. I've met Assistant Joe once, a man in his 30s, a bit mute, usually not smiling. His work is well organized, rarely make mistakes. It was hard to imagine how such a man could say such a thing. I turned up the two people's chat records, found that only just this sentence, the front of the clean, as if deliberately deleted the same. I was doubtful in my heart. Assistant Joe is Zhao Zhuan's work friend in general. Zhao Zhuan never deleted work messages, but how did it go with Assistant Joe's? I frowned, clicked into the Assistant Joe's circle of friends to take a look. Immediately froze, because the photo in his circle of friends dynamic is actually a woman. The woman she bangs, long hair, painted light makeup, the early 20s, especially good-looking. But the suit she was draped in and the familiar car interior, but it was a hard stab to my heart. Zhao Zhuan's clothes, Zhao Zhuan's car. My breathing stuttered, and the hand holding Zhao Zhuan's cell phone shook slightly. I had mixed feelings in my heart, but at the same time, I was comforting myself that the woman in this photo might be Assistant Zhao's girlfriend. But what about that intimate address? I subconsciously clicked on Zhao Zhuan's address book and searched for the 3 words, Assistant Joe, and the results came up with 2 accounts with the same notes and the same avatar in my eyes. Just when I want to further confirm, the door of the room was suddenly pushed open. I hurriedly quit the interface, closed Zhao Zhuan's phone. My heartfelt wedding anniversary was postponed to 12 o'clock at night, a message that made the entrance to the table of dishes I had worked so hard to make tasteless. Halfway through the meal, I just looked up to see Zhao Zhuan lowered his head to reply to a message, thinking of the young woman in the photo. My heart blocked, put down the chopsticks, got up and wanted to go to the bedroom. Zhao Zhuan saw me get up, hurriedly looked up and asked, Ji-Qing, the meal is not yet finished. What are you doing to go? Oh, I'll just eat a little bit. It's too late. It's not good for digestion. My voice was a little choked, and the tears in my eyes couldn't stop falling, but I still cleared my throat and replied with a feigned composure. Zhao Zhuan but laughed. Then you first go back to the house. When I finish eating, I will come. At night, Zhao Zhuan went back to the house and I was ear to ear, recalling the scene just now where he was in the kitchen while brushing the dishes and replying to the message with a smile. My heart was like a knife. I tirelessly pushed him away. Zhao Zhuan, don't make a fuss. I'm tired. I still have to go to work tomorrow. Hurry up and go to sleep. I turned on my side, closed my eyes, and never spoke again. Zhao Zhuan mumbled, spoiled, also twisted away, not a moment's effort behind the snoring. But I opened my eyes again. The moonlight outside the window through the thin curtains inside the house sprinkled on the ground. My heart also gradually calmed down. Zhao Zhuan, the emotional problems between the two of us, I have long been aware of. Married for many years, Zhao Zhuan has always wanted a child, but my body is always poorly adjusted, pregnant a few times, are habitually miscarried, so that later directly give up the idea of having a child. I feel sorry for Zhao Zhuan in my heart, but Zhao Zhuan hugged me at that time and said, the child is just the crystallization of our love. It is not important, as long as you have your company in this life is enough. At that time I was very touched, but after Zhao Zhuan saw a cute child, will always tease a couple of sentences, but also several times to ask me if I want to adopt a child and so on. See, my attitude is light. Zhao Zhuan also did not mention it again. About half a year ago, Zhao Zhuan's work suddenly busy, often work overtime at night. The number of times to come back to dinner is also reduced. Every day he came back when I slept, I woke up, he has gone to work. When couples get together and leave each other, it is most likely to have problems. Thinking of Zhao Zhuan also like to me in general, to other women ear to ear, my heart viciously throbbing. That night Zhao Zhuan around me slept soundly, but I stayed up all night, until 4 o'clock in the morning before I fell asleep in a daze. When I opened my eyes, it was already more than 9 o'clock in the morning. I simply told the company to take a vacation. Getting up and going out of the house, I found the breakfast that Zhao Zhuan had prepared for me on the table. It was already cold. He still has me in his heart, and I humbly wondered if maybe our 2 marriages hadn't come to an end, and I still had room to win him back. In the afternoon, when I asked my girlfriends to drink afternoon tea, I told my girlfriends that I saw Zhao Zhuan's chat records yesterday, as well as the speculation in my heart. My girlfriend Lin Qian immediately waved her hand and said, "You said Zhao Zhuan cheated?" "No way." You two are what childhood sweethearts. There is this layer of relations in it. Besides, people Zhao Zhuan to you is also good. Married for 8 years, you two did not want a child. This Zhao Zhuan usually busy. Go home to do chores as long as there is time. The two of you are cooking, he did. Not to mention that every time I mention you when he face happy yo. My girlfriend is right. Zhao Zhuan is quite good to me. But last night I saw that message. I still hold a grudge. Girlfriends see me worried and quickly persuaded. You do not think about it. The most important thing between husband and wife is trust. If you think about it blindly, it would be better to ask him in person. And besides, even if Zhao Zhuan really cheated on his wife, but only to figure out the freshness of the moment only, you coaxed him well, he will certainly come back to the heart. Girlfriends can say these words, is not unreasonable. Lin Qian and his husband also married 10 years ago. 3 years ago, Lin Qian inadvertently found her husband and other women have ambiguous relations. Lin Qian will take the initiative to pick with her husband in long talks, the original deviation from the track of her husband back to the right track, and now they are two love, especially happy. Yes, Lin Qian is right. I and Zhao Zhuan know more than 30 years. So many years of relationship, has long been as stable as a high wall, and is not someone else want to break into can break in? After returning home in the evening, I sat on the sofa dressed up exquisitely and waited for Zhao Zhuan to get off work. He still came back at 11 o'clock. When I entered the house, he was obviously stunned to see me sitting on the sofa. Jiqing, you're still up this late. I've been working overtime until late lately, so you don't have to wait for me. Just go to bed yourself at some point. Is it really overtime? I can't hide the bitterness in my heart, but on the surface, I greeted him with a smile, took the briefcase in his hand and faded clothes and said, in the past, when I worked overtime, didn't you also wait for me like this? Besides, I'm not sleepy. Have you eaten yet? There's still some I packed back in the refrigerator. No need. I've eaten at the company. Before I could finish my sentence, Zhao Zhuan took over, rubbing his brow somewhat tiredly. I looked at him. At the age of 35, half of his hair was gray, and there were a few more lines on his thin face. Looking at Zhao Zhuan like this, I couldn't help but think in my mind that maybe I misunderstood him. After Zhao Zhuan came out of the shower, I hugged him tightly from behind, and only after a long time did I say, husband, I'll go and adjust my body again. Let's try to have a child again. Let's try to have a child again. Hearing me say this, Zhao Zhuan twisted around and hugged me back and said, Jiqing, before we did not say, well, do not want a child, and people have said that the first child, 29 years old, is the age of the mother. We are running 4 years of age. Do not toss it, you are good. Everything is good. Zhao Zhuan's voice is gentle. Warm, my whole heart melted. Yes, from the beginning of my acquaintance with Zhao Zhuan, he is so gentle like water. When I was bullied at school as a child, it was Zhao Zhuan who stood in front of me and protected me every time. When I got married, in order to give me the best wedding, in addition to work, he also did a part-time job. He said he wanted me to become the world's happiest bride. After marriage is to take good care of me, cooking and laundry, cleaning, housework, whether in the eyes of others or in my eyes. Zhao Zhuan is a perfect good man. How could such a man betray me? And I'm even more reluctant to lose him. My arms around Zhao Zhuan tightened slightly, and it was only after a long time that I choked up and spoke. Hubby, I have to confess something to you. Last night, I looked at your cell phone. Zhao Zhuan's expression slightly stiffened, but it was fleeting, and soon he smiled and said, it's okay. You can look at my cell phone as you please. That assistant Zhou, isn't it a man? How come the circle of friends is a woman and addresses you so intimately? I closed my eyes and simply asked it all in my head. I know you read will ask me, this week assistant divorced, talked about a small girlfriend, personality also some changes. You see in his circle of friends that is his new girlfriend's photo. Yesterday overtime late, his small girlfriend to the company to look for him. I thought it is just by the way on the piggyback them. Zhao Zhuan's explanation is seamless, and his explanation also happens to be the same as I guessed. My heart, that mystery will be solved. Speaking. Zhao Zhuan took out a beautiful bag from the bag and handed it to me and said, Jiqing, yesterday when I took a break at lunchtime, I went to the mall and bought you some perfume. It tastes good. I think it's quite suitable for you. You smell it. I took out the perfume from the bag. Just open the lid. A jasmine flavor floated out, recalling the smell on Zhao Zhuan's suit yesterday. My heart was clear. Dang time and Zhao Zhuan born a touch of guilt. He is so good to me. I actually still suspect him. The next day, Saturday, I rest. Zhao Zhuan still have to go to overtime. The first noon, I do a good job in the lunchbox, then drive towards Zhao Zhuan company to go, ready to give him a small surprise. However, when I arrived at Zhao Zhuan's company, I heard the receptionist say that Zhao Zhuan left the company at 10 o'clock or so, saying that he had an appointment with a client to go to dinner. I had no choice but to return the same way. What I didn't expect was that when I was waiting for the traffic light, I accidentally caught a glimpse of a familiar figure passing by. I subconsciously turned my head, and through the car window I saw Zhao Zhuan and a woman with long hair walking shoulder to shoulder towards a Western restaurant on the side of the road. This woman's back. So familiar. While I was lost in thought, the car behind me kept honking, and I didn't dare to delay any longer. I hurriedly drove the car to the parking space and walked towards the restaurant where Zhao Zhuan and that woman went in just now. As soon as I entered the restaurant, I saw Zhao Zhuan and the woman sitting in a window seat. I hurriedly used my bag to block my face and sat closer to them with my back to them. My ears perked up and listened carefully to the movement behind me, but I didn't hear any conversation between the two people for a long time. I took out a makeup mirror, carefully took a look behind me, and saw the woman's appearance, exactly the same as the face I saw yesterday in the Assistant Joe's circle of friends. But didn't Zhao Zhuan say that this woman was Assistant Joe's girlfriend? Why are the two of them alone together? The fear in his heart surged up again. Just at this time, the originally silent woman suddenly covered her face and cried. Seeing this, Zhao Zhuan hurriedly pulled out a piece of paper and got up to hold her face, helping her wipe her tears while saying in a warm voice, Okay, Wei Wei, what are you crying about? I'll find a way to solve this. The woman has reached out and pushed him a hand. How many times have you said this? See, I am going to show pregnant. You want me to then have to explain to my family, you say? Are you still in love with Feng Jiqing, cannot afford to divorce her? My hand shook, the mirror snapped, fell to the ground. I hurriedly bent down to pick up, but the mirror is already in pieces. Looking at the mirror blurred himself, really ridiculous. I bent down and hesitated to get up. The two people behind me to talk about the voices once again came over. Zhao Zhuan said, This can't be rushed, Wei Wei. You also know that my relationship with Jiqing is not as simple as you think. She is my wife, our two families are still old friends. It will be troublesome if things are not handled well. Then how do you want to handle it? Waiting all the time, Zhao Zhuan. I don't have that much time to wait with you. If you don't have the will to marry me, I'll go and abort the child tomorrow. The child. The hand holding the mirror shards was slightly hard. I winced in pain. A drop of blood fell on the shattered mirror surface, shocking to the eyes. But the pain in my hand was far less than the pain in my heart. Don't do anything stupid, Wei Wei. Okay? I promise you within a month at the latest, I'll divorce Jiqing. Zhao Zhuan said with a firm resolve. The woman called Wei Wei then laughed. That's more or less the same. If you can't think of a method, I'll give you one. The woman's voice wasn't too loud or too small, and I could hear it clearly. Importantly, Zhao Zhuan also promised. My heart is like a knife. Obviously they are at fault first, in the end, but also a rake to blame me. In this instant, my remaining love for Zhao Zhuan was transformed into hate. After they left, I sat in my seat for a long time without getting up. Zhao Zhuan's tenderness towards that woman I have seen and heard in my ears. Once upon a time I thought that he was tender only when he was towards me, but what I didn't expect was that his tenderness could be divided among many people, not just me. Disappointment is an emotion that builds up from one lie to another. And Zhao Zhuan's lies to me. I don't know when it started. He lied to me, acted in front of me, and while he was with me in the ear, he was planning how to divorce me. Zhao Zhuan, you have a cruel heart. Since Zhao Zhuan is heartless to me, I won't blame him for being unrighteous. Zhao Zhuan, a 35-year-old old man, hair white half, body in the past 2 years, also goes some shape, a 20-year-old pretty girl with him together, in addition to his money. I cannot think of another reason. Zhao Zhuan in the company is a small leader, annual salary of about 800,000, in our second-tier city, the development of a really good. But others do not know. I think Zhao Zhuan also forgot when he was actually how to enter the company. The year he went to college, Zhao Zhuan's family had a bit of a problem, which led to his failure in the college entrance examination and eventually only went to a specialized university. After graduation, Zhao Zhuan was having trouble finding a job. Seeing that the marriage between our two families was imminent, I couldn't bear to see Zhao Zhuan suffer, so I begged my father to find someone to help Zhao Zhuan arrange a job. Father was Zhao Zhuan, the company's boss's driver, many years ago. My father had a life-saving kindness to the boss. The boss will be father to stay with him. The father is also very respectful, so my father in front of the boss to say a few words of praise, while Zhao Zhuan inserted into the company. Although Zhao Zhuan's education is not high, but his ability is not bad. In just 10 years, Zhao Zhuan has risen from a small employee to the position of a small leader. The achievements in front of me make Zhao Zhuan forget the beginning, but since I have the ability to put him in, I can also naturally kick him out of the game. Zhao Zhuan annual salary of 800,000 yuan in a high position of some say, every year the bidding company will be good to flatter him a lot, and is to send gifts and cards. These records I have saved. But this is far from enough to pull him down. For this reason I teamed up with Zhao Zhuan's nemesis in the company to investigate him, and I realized that Zhao Zhuan really looks like a decent man on the surface, but in reality he is. Soon came the day of Zhao Zhuan's project launch. He stood on the stage holding a laptop computer full of confidence, gushing about the highlights of his project plan. And I sat in the corner, looking at him standing on the stage. Once upon a time I think Zhao Zhuan is like a bright star, now look at him again is just a dust. This project plan, Zhao Zhuan carefully prepared for half a year. As long as the plan through, he will be able to play a beautiful turnaround, and even have the opportunity for promotion and salary increased. But Zhao Zhuan, you have to be disappointed. Zhao Zhuan spoke while inserting the flash drive. The PPT was rolling. Zhao Zhuan was unknowingly talking about his plan on the stage, but the people under the stage were exchanging words and cursing. He suddenly realized something was wrong and hurriedly twisted his head to look. When he saw the content inside the PPT, his face instantly changed drastically. Don't even look at it. It's all synthesized. Zhao Zhuan suddenly panicked, pressing the remote control on the stage at his wit's end, but no matter how he pressed it, the screen behind him didn't respond. The PPT was still playing in a loop, but Zhao Zhuan's sky had collapsed. Surveillance video of the theft of project funds, evidence of accepting bribes, and ambiguous photos with the chief financial officer. A scene-by-scene shocking, if not I have already seen in advance. I think now I must be as shocked as these people present. The company Zhao Zhuan is not stay down bad track record, not to mention the misappropriation of public property. Even the manager's wife also dared to covet, not only face the situation of dismissal, he also carries a large amount of debt. He stood frozen in place, as if he saw me in the corner, and then fled like a headless fly. After returning home, I calmly put all the things belonging to Zhao Zhuan into the suitcase, and then quietly sat on the sofa in the living room waiting for him to come home. At 6 o'clock or so, Zhao Zhuan came back from outside in a state of disorientation. I faintly swept him a glance, but saw Zhao Zhuan's eyes crossed a seemingly hidden hatred. However, this gaze was fleeting, and immediately afterward, he walked straight to me and fell to his knees in front of me as soon as his legs gave out. He said, "Jiqing, I was wrong. I know that you know all the things that happened recently, but you have to believe me. It's all because Pei Weiwei, this woman, took the initiative to seduce me. I've never been attracted to a woman other than you. I've been dealing with this matter for the past few days, Jiqing. My heart is still with you. As Zhao Zhuan spoke, he gently leaned his head on my leg, gently rubbing on me like a puppy. This kind of action, he had done it before, as if he was being pampered, and before, I thought Zhao Zhuan was childish and really cute. But now when I see him in this sympathetic manner, it's really disgusting. I did not move my legs, coldly spoke. Zhao Zhuan, don't act. Your things I have packed up. From today onwards you will move out. When the divorce cooling-off period is over, we will go to get a license. Although you have a mistake in the first place, but a one-day husband and wife 100 days of grace. This house I will choose a date to sell, and I will also share a part of the money from the sale of the house with you. Zhao Zhuan panicked. He tightly grabbed my arm. Jiqing, don't be like this. Yes, I'm wrong, but before you said that you would give me a chance. I'll call this wine and talk to Pei Weiwei to make it clear. Don't want me. Zhao Zhuan shook my arm one by one. I was distracted. My voice also raised a little. Zhao Zhuan, a man should have some responsibility. Do you think I want to divorce you just because of this matter? You've done so many nasty things. Have you forgotten? Jiqing, you're talking about the incident at the company? I didn't do it just to make our lives better. Jiqing, you have to understand me. If there was a way out, I wouldn't have done this, Zhao Zhuan said. I do not want to dwell with him too much, then shook off his hand, got up and walked towards the bedroom, before entering the door, but also did not forget to turn back to the cold snort and said, Zhao Zhuan, this set of words to leave you to say it yourself, in order to the family still. I see you are in order to be able to raise a few more. Do not think that I do not know. You embezzled the public property to the little one to buy a family property. Room door will Zhao Zhuan isolated in the door, and Zhao Zhuan's voice is like masked in a glass cover, gradually more and more small. Married for 8 years. Zhao Zhuan has been good to me when, then he is not good to me from when? I can't tell it all to. Time and again tenderness, a sentence of sweet words, as if a big net will cover me. Zhao Zhuan for me to weave countless falsehoods to confuse me, and I now easily have the opportunity to break free. How can I still be stupid to go back to the original that place? Some people say that my heart is too cruel. Zhao Zhuan is just betraying our marriage, and did not cause actual harm to me. That's because you guys haven't experienced my pain yet. A man in my eyes so perfect is actually a layer of falsehoods packaged out of the characters. When the truth is broken cocoon, will reveal his real side of the time, my inner struggle and pain, no one can understand. Later Zhao Zhuan pestered me for a few days. Zhao Zhuan's pestering has seriously affected my normal life. There is nothing I can do. I chose to sue for divorce. Zhao Zhuan net out of the house. My heart is soft, or will sell the house 1/3 to him. Once upon a time, I was not clear, but not in the future. Women's world, in addition to marriage, there are many, many more.